So now the ball is in the court of Donald J. Trump. Mr. Trump, you met with your Joint Chiefs of Staff in August and in early September. You had your generals at Camp David. They weren't talking about taxes. You don't use generals to talk about taxes. You were planning a war, sir.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Denga Reaction once again. What if a warning made nearly a decade ago suddenly looks very different when viewed through the events happening today? In this video, we are looking back at the 2017 speech by Minister Louis Farrakhan at the Watergate Hotel, where he spoke about the direction of American foreign policy and the growing tension surrounding Iran, Saudi Arabia, and the Middle East. Farrakhan raised questions about whether the United States could become involved in another major conflict in the region. He also urged that economic interests, including oil, minerals, and strategic territory, could play an important role in American foreign policy. Now, years later, supporters of Farrakhan's argument point to later geopolitical development and claim that some of these warnings deserves another look. But where his prediction actually accurate, or are people connecting events after the fact? Let's go back to that 2017 speech and examine what he said and what happened afterwards, and why this argument continues to generate so much debate. So guys, remember this: if it is a very first time coming across any of my video in my channel, remember to like, share, and don't forget to subscribe. And all full credits goes to the original creator of this video.
George W. Bush, after 9/11, said he was going to divide the Muslims against themselves. Now a 1400-year dispute between Shia and Sunni is about to take into a war. President Trump went to Saudi Arabia and called 50 Sunni nations through the king of Saudi Arabia. And instead of inviting Muslims to sit with Muslims to find out what's the point of contention and bringing peace about, he took those Sunni nations, yes you did, Mr. Trump, and you aimed their anger against Tehran and the Shia nation. Just recently, you sent much weaponry into the Middle East. You've sent missiles into the Middle East.
Yes, sir.
You didn't send them. You would urge them to buy them. A war is brewing.
Yes.
President Trump, you just left Asia, and you carried with you to Asia 3 of your largest aircraft carriers with F-18, F-16, a nuclear sub in the water. You had an armada around Kim Jong-un. You went to talk, but you had firepower to aid your lexicon of language. Barack Obama, you hate him. You call him a weak president because he's not like you, Mr. Trump, and he's not like his predecessors. He is like Jonah, who was a reluctant prophet. Barack Obama was reluctant to be the type of wicked man that your presidents are, have been, and like you said, let's take the oil. See, that's not presidential. The presidents would say, let's see if we can make a deal and give them money for their oil because we really want it all. That's presidential. We'll send our Secretary of State. He's such a diplomat. But you, Mr. Trump, we'll take the oil. You remember? Yes, and with Stephanopoulos on ABC, we'll bomb the hell out of them. See, Mr. Trump is real. He is what he is. Now you either got to see him as he is, because all the rest of them were vampires that looked good in the day, but when night came, you know. Mr. Trump, and I say this to my brother Barack, you really tried to make America better. Couldn't succeed, because the moment you went overseas and started talking about the mistakes that America has made, Romney and the Republicans said, look at him. He's over there apologizing. Mr. Trump, more than an apology is needed. Mr. President, you're going to have to deal with either the thought that's in your mind that will destroy America and her future, because once the trigger of war is pulled, it will escalate. Now I'm going to tell you what my teacher told me. You have planned a war. The war that you have planned, you and your generals, is to the Middle East. You want to use the Sunni at the prodding of Israel to attack Iran. Just like you did with my brother Gaddafi. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You laid back, leading from behind. You in Syria now. Boy, this is rough. And Mrs. Clinton, she encouraged you to give the go-ahead to kill Muammar Gaddafi. Gaddafi had come in out of the cold. Gaddafi gave up all his weapons of mass destruction. And Bush used to be so proud to say, Gaddafi got the message. He's come in. And then under Barack, Hillary Clinton imposed her will, and they murdered Muammar Gaddafi. And the killing of Muammar Gaddafi wrapped a ribbon around Kim Jong-un, and it was given to you as a gift. You will never get North Korea to give up what she has as a trump card. That's over, Mr. Trump. Can you live with North Korea with nuclear weapons? I think you're going to have to. Even though you have war plans already to knock out North Korea, but China said, if you attack North Korea, we have to defend them. China is right. Allah don't love aggressors. He said, but if North Korea attacks you, America, we'll lay out of it. So you went there thinking that you making friends. Wrong. You didn't discuss with China his plans for war. You have laid out in the Pentagon how you can wipe the Chinese out.
Right.
But you don't want China, not yet. And you don't want Kim Jong-un yet. But you're looking for a softer target and you think that's Iran. Wrong. Wrong. If you permit Israel to push Saudi and the Sunnis into war with the Shiites, I want to say this to the Muslim world. See, you are so blinded that you think with America's backing you can win. Wrong. You're a Muslim. If you got the backing of Allah, you can win. But you don't have that backing. Not as an aggressor. Pakistan is sitting there with nuclear weapons. I noticed, Mr. Trump, he didn't mention Pakistan. Although at the United Nations, you did mention Iran. You mentioned Venezuela. You mentioned Cuba. And you mentioned Kim Jong-un. You'd rather fight all of those three and leave Kim Jong-un alone. But guess what? Guess what they found in North Korea? $6 to $10 trillion in mineral wealth. And guess what they found in Afghanistan? They dropped the mother of all bombs in an empty space, letting us know that you got it and you will use it. But what did you uncover? You know that in Afghanistan, there's another 10 trillion in mineral wealth. So Barack tried to get you out of there, but you're greed. You're back in it now. And you're not just in there. They found oil in the Golan Heights.
Right.
And Israel said she wants to get involved in the fray in Syria. But Russia is there. And they found tremendous oil reserves in the Golan Heights. And Israel wants to take that oil so that she will be oil self-sufficient. See, and just as you're reaching for it, your hands are going to get burned. And Israel, you are making America lose big time. You don't want me to say how much control AIPAC has over the U.S. government. And I know the press is here, you can't even say it, except you tell something ugly so that your editors will give you leave. But brothers and sisters, let me tell you, you're going to be set free. Because that kind of cowardly news person who knows the truth and afraid to tell it, if you love this country, you tell the truth to change America, for she is going down and fast. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mr. President, you won't make America great again. Not in our time. She became great killing Native Americans. She became great enslaving us, bringing us from Africa into America to work the cotton fields. You're not going to get that opportunity back anymore. We made America rich and strong. And you can't tell me, Farrakhan, if you don't like America, you can go on back to Africa. Let me tell you something, white folk. You don't have a place on this earth that you can call your own except what we gave you, and that's in Europe. Now I'm closing. My God, Farrakhan. Are they planning war? Yes. Is it against black youth and black people?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. I want to close with showing you the signs that I had to watch in order to know what to say to Mr. Trump today. I was right, and you'll see it in your pack with President Bush. I was right with Ronald Reagan.
So guys, when you listen to Louis Farrakhan's 2017 speech, today, one of the first thing that stands out is how strongly he focused on the Middle East. At the time, tension between the United States, Israel, Iran, and Saudi Arabia were already extremely complicated. Farrakhan urged that the United States could become involved in strategic aimed at putting great pressure on Iran. He also discussed the relationship between Israel and Saudi Arabia and suggested that Washington could work with Sunni majority countries in the region while confronting Iran. Now, this is where we need to separate what Farrakhan actually predicted from what people later interpreted those words to mean. A prediction is not automatically proven simply because something similar happens years later. But this does not mean the original warning should be ignored either. It means we should look at the details carefully. One of the Farrakhan's major arguments was that American involvement in the Middle East was not only about security. It suggested that economic interests could also influence foreign policy. Oil is an obvious example. The Middle East has some of the world's most important energy resources, and instability in the region can have consequences far beyond the country's directly involvement. When tensions rise, markets pay attention. Oil prices can move. Transportation costs can increase. Food prices can be affected. And ordinary people thousands of miles away can eventually feel the consequences of conflict they have never personally experienced. Farrakhan also spoke about Afghanistan and Syria and questioned whether Americans' involvement in these areas could be connected to a national resources and strategic interests. These claims are controversial, and they should not simply be accepted as a fact without evidence. But they raise an important question. How much do economic interests influence international politics? That question is still relevant today. Another important part of this discussion is Iran. For years, Iran has been the center of tension involving the United States and Israel. Iran's nuclear program, religion alliance, military capabilities, and relationship with groups across the Middle East have all contributed to every complicated geopolitical situation. And because Iran is a major region power, any serious conflict involving Iran could have consequences far beyond its borders. This brings us to the modern interpretation of Farrakhan's speech. Some of commentators now look back on this 2017 statement and urge that later developments support his warnings. They point to changing alliances, military tension, pressure on Iran, and the continuing importance of Middle East to global energy markets. Some even connect this development to events they describe as Operation Epic Fury in March 2026. However, it is important to be careful with that claim. The fact that a later event resembles something discussed years earlier does not necessarily mean the speaker predicted the exact event. There is a major difference between saying, I want that conflict with Iran could happen, and saying, I predicted this exact military operation. Those are two different claims. And this is where critical thinking becomes important. We can examine Farrakhan's speech without automatically agreeing with every part of his argument. We can also examine Americans' foreign policy without assuming that every military decision is secretly about oil and minerals. International politics is complicated. Governments make decisions based on security alliances, economics, domestic politics, military strategy, and many other factors. But there is still something powerful about looking back at all the political speeches. Sometimes people make predictions that appear irrelevant at the time, only for a later events to make those words worthy revisiting. Whether Farrakhan was completely right, partly right, or simply making a political argument based on the information available in 2017 is something viewers should decide after examining the evidence. What is undeniable is that the Middle East remains one of the most strategically important regions in the world. And whenever tension rises between major powers, the effects can reach the entire global economy. So the real question is not simply, was Farrakhan right? The better question is, what did he actually predict? What really happened afterwards? And what can we learn by comparing the two? This is where the history becomes more interesting. So guys, thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. And let me know your thoughts on the comment section. And if you enjoyed this comment or this commentary, remember to share your thoughts on the comment section and keep your comments respectful. Thank you so much for my returning viewers for always coming back and support. Thank you for your love and support. Till next video, God bless. One love.